Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jennifer Kenyon. I'm the Director of the International Student and Scholar Services Office at SUNY Geneseo. And we're here to talk today a little bit about applying for F1 student visas. So I'm going to go ahead and share a presentation for you today. And if you have any questions as we go along, please just drop those in the chat and we'll have time to answer them at the end. All right, hopefully you can see the screen here. We're going to get started with a little bit of information about what you need to apply for an F1 visa. First of all, the very first step is you've got to get admitted somewhere. So step one is to apply for admission to your college of choice. That might be SUNY Geneseo, that might be another college in the US. But first you have to be admitted. Be sure after you apply for your admission that you're checking your email frequently, because that college might reach out to you. If it was me reviewing your application, for example, if I was missing some documents, I would say, hi, we're missing your TOEFL score, or we need this document to complete your application. And if you don't check your email frequently, you might miss those notifications and therefore have some delay in getting your admission back. Be sure that you have checked the website, that you know the required documents that you need, and that you've submitted all of those. So now that you're admitted, the next step that's going to happen might vary a little bit from school to school. So I'm going to talk about what we do at Geneseo. First, we would notify you that you've been admitted, and you would also get instructions about how to pay your deposit. So once you pay your deposit, that's what triggers our system to allow you to register for classes, and it tells us to issue your I-20. This is very important. Another document that you have to be sure that you've submitted at this point is your financial statement of support. This is a document that we have to have before we can issue your I-20. That's required by the US government. So now that you've paid your deposit, now that you have submitted your financial statement of support, the school will issue your I-20. We're going to send that I-20 to you most likely through UPS. Or some other kind of courier service so that we can track it to be sure that it reaches you safely. So what is an I-20? An I-20 is a document that a college issues to you that tells the consulate that you have been admitted to our college and that we want you to attend. This I-20 is required when you apply for an F1 student visa. The I-20 is issued using SEVIS, which stands for the Student Exchange Visitor Information System, and that's the computer system that we use that's controlled by the Student Exchange Visitor Program to track international students that are coming to the United States. So the I-20 has the following information on it. It has your biographical details like your name and your birthday. It has our information at the university. So it would say State University of New York at Geneseo, our address, and the date that we were approved in SEVIS to host international students. It would also include your program details, like the start date of your degree, your major, and the length of your program. Is it 2 years? Is it 4 years? Etc. And then it will also include your financial information. And then we continue to update this I-20 as you study at the college. So let's say you're going to travel home for a holiday, we would sign your I-20 for that. Or let's say that you get an internship and we're going to authorize you for CPT. That would also be shown on your I-20. So your I-20 stays with you for the entire duration of your studies. But the very first step is getting the visa, and that's the document that you have to apply for your visa. So once you receive your admission, once you receive your I-20, the next step is to pay your SEVIS I-901 fee. And this is a screenshot of the website. You go to fmjfee.com. And that website allows you to put in the details from your I-20. You'll find the SEVIS ID number on your I-20, and then your name and date of birth. And then you would pay that SEVIS fee. This must be done before you can schedule your visa appointment. The SEVIS fee now is $350, and you'll want to keep your receipt once you have done that payment. Next step is to actually go ahead and complete the application for a non-immigrant visa, which is a form DS-160. There's a link here, but since I'm screen sharing, I know you won't be able to click on it. So we'll make this presentation available on our website later. And I also have a link to our website at the end where we have all these instructions as well. So you can check this later on. You can also just Google DS-160 and this form will come up. But we do have this all in a convenient place for you at the end of the presentation. So you'll go ahead and complete that form online. You'll upload your photo to the form, and then it's time to schedule your visa interview. And this is where things might get a little bit tricky depending on when you're applying for your visa, as a lot of consulates are unfortunately still operating in limited capacity, or some are even still closed because of the pandemic. So it really just depends on your location. But you can go to the US Embassy or Consulate website to look for your closest consulates. The visa application fee is currently $160, and you would also pay that at the time that you complete the online form. Again, keep your receipt in case you need to show it at your visa interview. So a little update here, because of COVID-19, as I mentioned before, many visa wait times are longer than normal because there's some backlogs, as well as I said, some consulates are operating in limited capacity. So we do have a website here. If you go to travel.state.gov and search for visa wait times, you can put in any consulate here in the search bar, and it will tell you if that consulate is open or closed. Just a quick search in India, some of the consulates were still closed, unfortunately, but we do know that there are many consulates that are beginning to schedule student visa appointments. And in some cases, you are able to schedule an emergency appointment as a student because you have a specific time frame that you need to get your visa in. And so there are some consulates that are allowing expedited appointments and emergency appointments for students. So if you do happen to go to your closest consulate and you see that it's closed, or you see that it has a very long wait time, or it has limited availability, go ahead and call them and find out if you can schedule an emergency appointment because you're a student. And we do expect that this is going to start improving soon. Many consulates are reporting that they're beginning to open again. So don't panic if you see that your consulate is not currently open. We're pretty confident that they're going to start opening again soon. So once you've made your visa appointment, the next step is to prepare your documents. You're going to need your passport, obviously, because they'll have to put your visa stamp in it. You need to have your completed visa application, DS-160, and I would recommend printing that out along with the receipt. You will also need your SEVIS I-901 fee payment receipt. Bring your passport photos with you, and be sure to bring your original signed I-20 issued by SUNY Geneseo, or whatever college you've been admitted to. Be sure when you receive that I-20 that you do sign it at the bottom. There's a space for you to sign it. And it's important that you do that. And then the last thing we recommend is that you take your financial documents with you. Whatever bank statement or financial statement of support that you submitted to us in order to receive your I-20 after you were admitted, you're going to also want to take that with you to your visa appointment. And now they may ask for all of these documents, and they may ask for none of these documents. But these are the things that are listed on the website as required things to bring to your appointment. And then there's some additional things that I recommend that you take, okay? So the recommended documents that you also take to your visa appointment are your admission letter. If you've received any scholarships, bring your scholarship acceptance letter. Also, it's a good idea to take copies of your academic documents. These would be the same documents that you submitted in order to apply for admission. So your transcripts, diplomas, any test scores that you've taken, if you've taken the TOEFL, if you've taken the SAT, be sure to take copies of all of those things with you. Again, they don't often ask for them, but just in case they do, you want to be prepared. So make sure that you have all of these documents organized so that you can get to them easily and show those just in case they do ask for them. The next one is something that's kind of difficult to show, but it is the point of the visa interviews. The officer is generally trying to discern whether or not you're a legitimate student and whether you intend to return to your home country after you complete your studies in the US. So if there's any kind of document that you can show that would back that up. So for example, if your father owns a business and when you complete your degree, you plan to come back and work for that business, you could bring a letter from the business. Or if you have a job lined up for after graduation, or something along those lines. Those are examples of a document that you could bring. Again, this is very difficult to show in documentation form, and most people aren't able to do that. So don't panic if you don't have something that proves that you're planning to come home after you graduate. But do know that that is something that the officers are looking for. So before your interview, last steps of preparation, be sure you've paid your fee. Be sure you've completed all of your forms and printed them off and signed them. Have your documents prepared and organized and ready. And then my next bit of advice is to do some research. Make sure you have some reasons about why you've chosen the particular university that you're going to go to. If you've chosen to attend SUNY Geneseo, you would want to talk about maybe the research opportunities that you would have and how that's going to be great for your resume. And maybe when you apply to grad school, you think that research is really going to help you. Or maybe you're planning to do an internship and you've looked at the list of internships on our website and you know that those are going to be great for your future career choice. Or maybe you know something about the major, you know something about the professors that will be teaching the classes. Those are great things to do a little bit of research about before you go to your interview, because when the officer asks you, why have you chosen to go to this school? You want to have one or two good reasons, and they should not be because this is the #1 university for my major in the United States, because frankly, it's just probably not true. Unless you're literally going to Harvard, that's generally not a good thing to tell the visa officer, because it sounds like you haven't really done your research. It may also sound like you've been coached. So definitely do not say, because it's the best university or it's the #1 university in the United States. Don't go that way. Know a little bit about the location. If you're going to study in New York, like where we're located, you should know that it snows here sometimes and it's a little bit cold. So if the officer says, are you worried about winters in New York? Say, well, I know it'll be cold, but I bought a big coat and I know I'll be fine. Something like that. So just be prepared, know a little bit about the location, know about the university, know about your major, and have a couple specific facts maybe that you found on the website or that you found on the internet. Or you can even email the school and say, hey, I'm wondering about the professor is in my major. Can you tell me something about them? Just so that when the officer asks you, or if they ask you why you've chosen the school, you have some good reasons for it. And then the last advice is just relax. Don't be stressed out. This is not as scary as it sounds. Most of these interviews are very quick, maybe 2 minutes or less. So don't panic. Don't be stressed. Don't be up all night worrying about it. It will be fine. Just know your information before you go. Have your documents prepared before you go, and that's all you can do. So at your interview, be sure to answer any questions honestly and calmly. Again, the officer is trying to determine if you're a legitimate student with permanent ties to your home country. So be sure that you answer any questions completely honestly, calmly. Don't be nervous, don't be stressed, because that could come across like you're trying to hide something, even if you're not. And then also, I know there are a lot of rumors out there, like if I have a relative living in the United States, that will disqualify me and the officer won't give me my visa. That's absolutely not true. But what will disqualify you is if you're not honest and answer a question not truthfully. So if they say, do you have any relatives living in the US, and you have an aunt that lives in San Francisco, be sure to mention that, because the odds are they already know. And if you don't answer it truthfully, that will automatically disqualify you from being able to get your visa. So the #1 most important thing is just be honest. Don't think that there's anything that you could say that is the truth that will just automatically disqualify you from being able to get this visa. The only thing that will do that is not telling the truth. Be prepared, but don't be over rehearsed. Don't have a speech prepared. Don't memorize something. Just, have a couple of facts at hand. Have a few things that you're ready with. But don't over rehearse and be so prepared that it seems like someone has been training you. Now here's some resources that you might want to check. Again, these are the websites that I mentioned before, where you can get your visa application form, where you can look for your local consulate, where you can check the visa wait times. Another website is studyinthestates.dhs.gov. Now, this is a website specifically dedicated to students studying in the United States. And they also include lots of great recommendations, including about applying for your visa, recommendations about searching for schools, searching for scholarships. So that's a great website to take a look at as well. And then the last website here is my website, geneseo.edu/international. If you click on the F1 student visa section, We have got all of this information that I've just gone over today about how to apply for your visa. And I'll also be posting the link to this presentation later so that if you want to go back and watch this again, you'll be able to do that. Here is my contact information. So in case you have some questions after we're done here, we're going to have time to answer some questions as well. But just in case if you think of something after we're finished here and you want to send me an email, this is my direct email address. This is my website. And then also you can send me a text on WhatsApp if you have questions. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen sharing here so I can see if anyone has posted a question for us. Let's see here. I don't see any questions yet. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like answered today before we go? Don't be nervous. Feel free to unmute if you want or add questions to the chat. Well, that's okay. I will take that as verification that it was a great presentation and that we already answered all of your questions. And like I said before, if you do have questions later, feel free to send me an email or feel free to text me on WhatsApp. I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. Thank you all so much for joining our presentation today. It was wonderful to see you. It was wonderful to give this information. Oh, we do have a question here. Great. So, you know, the question is, my language is Arabic and my IELTS score is 6, but I'll need to speak Arabic with the consul. Will this affect my selection? So there are two lines of thought with this. One is if you're uncomfortable in English and you would prefer to speak in your native language at the consulate, you can definitely do that. However, if you've been admitted into an academic program with your IELTS of 6 and not a language training program, the consul will probably expect you to be able to answer some basic questions in English. So it depends on what program you're admitted to. If you were applying to Geneseo, you would need a little bit higher score than that. You would need a 6.5. And then we would really recommend that you try and answer your questions in English at the consulate. However, if you've applied to a bridge program or an intensive English program first before your academic program begins, it's absolutely okay if you need to speak in Arabic at the time that you go to your appointment. So it depends a little bit about your admission. It depends on the program that you're going to. But if you have been admitted to an academic program, we would recommend that you at least be prepared to answer some questions in English. Do we have any other questions? We'll give you guys just a couple more minutes in case anyone's typing. All right, it looks like we're all set here. I want to thank you all again so much for coming to our presentation. Thank you for joining us today. Again, feel free to reach out anytime with any questions. Check our website later and we'll have this presentation posted up for you in case you want to go back and use any of these links that we've shared today. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful day.